Monday Night Raw is continuing to be firing on all cylinders. We had another stellar episode of Monday Night Raw last night. We had a couple Money in the Bank qualifying matches, a Women's World Title match, all that stuff and more. We're going to talk about it right now. Couple of quick housekeeping things. I'm going to be doing the Raw and SmackDown reviews differently this week. I know the past couple of weeks I've been doing a Raw and SmackDown combined video each week, but this week I think I'm going to do a separate SmackDown and a separate Raw video because I know I can get this out before Money in the Bank. I'm going to be in Toronto for Money in the Bank this coming weekend. We're going to be at Sami Zayn's comedy special on Thursday night. We're going to be at SmackDown on Friday, Money in the Bank on Saturday, and NXT Heatwave on Sunday. So if you watch us on the channel and you're going to be there, make sure to say hello if you spot us there. We're super excited. Yusuf and I are going to try and get a SmackDown review out for you after this Friday's SmackDown, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully we can, but it's going to be a crazy weekend, so we'll do our best. I actually was at the show last night in the TD Garden in Boston, so I'm super excited to talk about it. I might be a little biased because I really enjoyed myself at the show, but let me know what you thought. Leave a comment down below. Make sure to like this video. Make sure to hit subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that bell icon to make sure you are notified whenever we drop a new video. All right, all that out of the way, let's get into it. So we opened the show with an absolutely insane Jey Uso entrance. They actually, before the show, were like, Jey Uso wants to make sure you're super hyped because he's about to come out to open the show. Jey Uso runs through the crowd, through the hallway, and ends up entering the arena through the audience. It's basically a generic promo. He's calling a shot at Money in the Bank. He's looking forward to cashing in and winning the title, and he's interrupted by Chad Gable. Again, nothing to write home about with this promo, but Chad and Jey Uso as a feud is a really good feud that they could really tap into down the line, if not now. Especially right now because they have the common thread of the Wyatt Six, who actually made their appearance during the segment. So they interrupt the segment and they're tormenting Chad Gable. Different figures are appearing in all different corners. There's one in the left corner of the stage, one in the right corner of the stage, and Rowan in particular was in the entranceway. Sister Abigail actually ended up bringing out a VHS tape once again like last week. So they hand it to Cole and Graves and it says play me again, and they end up showing us what's on that VHS in a little while. So this VHS is basically a second part of what the interview that we saw last week on Raw, where Uncle Howdy is interviewing Taylor Rotunda. Now Taylor goes on to talk about how the Wyatts are those that are forgotten and abandoned, and they had to make all of us notice as the fans. He also cleared up why these other people have joined into the family, because obviously they had characters before they joined the Wyatt Six. Nikki Cross, Dexter Lumis, Joe Gacy, Eric Rowan, who had not been in WWE but left and came back. So Taylor's basically saying they all joined the group. So they're actually who they are. They're actually the people behind the mask. They're actually Nikki Cross, actually Joe Gacy, actually Dexter Lumis, actually Eric Rowan. But they decided because they were forgotten and abandoned by the fans and by everyone in the wrestling world, they decided that they wanted to join up in the Wyatt Six to make everyone notice who they were again. And also to find a new family to bond with, because Taylor mentions that they've become a family in the process of forming this faction. And this faction has a motivation of going after false prophets who've belittled their family for their own personal gain, which makes sense as to why they're going after Gable, because Chad Gable was the one who really put Alpha Academy through so much turmoil. And it also seems even more so this time like Uncle Howdy is an alter ego or a different side of Taylor Rotunda. It's not a supernatural figure, it's actually a part of Taylor Rotunda's being. And honestly, everything about that tape was great. It answered a ton of questions about whether or not this is something more supernatural or something more grounded in reality. And I'm thankful to say that it's more so the latter. Everything seems to be more grounded in reality, from how they joined up with Bo Dallas to form the Wyatt Six, with who Uncle Howdy is in relation to Bo Dallas, to Taylor Rotunda, and also their motives, like why they're doing what they're doing. It's not just to create general chaos. It's because they formed a family because of their being forgotten and abandoned, and they want to prevent others from being forgotten and abandoned by their family as well, especially when they're abandoned by these false prophets who belittled them for their own gain. So overall, it's a good message. It's a good segment. My one ask is that they don't have any of them wrestle, but we'll see how long that lasts. Not a whole lot to talk about in this segment, but the feud between the New Day and the Final Testament continued tonight as Xavier Woods actually got the roll-up victory over Karrion Kross, once again making Karrion Kross look like an absolute joke. However, after the match, AOP and Kross attacked the New Day, and Karrion Kross actually trapped Kofi Kingston in the submission that was really wrenching on Kofi's arm for a really long time. Maybe it's a way to write Kofi off TV to keep Xavier isolated, since the story has been the Final Testament trying to recruit Xavier Woods, but we'll see where that goes. Once again, I'm going to say, because I've said it in every video I talk about this, in what universe does it make any sense for Xavier Woods to turn on the New Day and join the Final Testament? It really doesn't. I will say, though, they're doing a really good job in trying to get me interested in Karrion Kross. I personally don't really care for the character that much, and honestly, TD Garden felt the same way. The show started really, really hot, but then this was the opening match. The Final Testament came out. Nothing really happened. It was a bunch of nothing. The crowd literally went flat. It was crazy. The amount of silence in this arena after this opening segment with Jey Uso and Chad Gable and the Wyatt Six, for it to go to just nothing because the Final Testament comes out, it's really a shame because they're all super talented, but they just haven't really given us a reason to care. And I think this is the start of WWE trying to get us to care about this faction. So hopefully they continue, and hopefully they keep writing good stuff for them, because so far so good. Women's World Championship match up next as Liv Morgan defeated Zelina Vega when Dominic Mysterio tried to slide in a chair to help Zelina, but Zelina actually used it on Dom because, like I said last time, she wanted nothing to do with Dom's help and what he offered to her, because he doesn't want Liv to have the title, supposedly, but Zelina doesn't want his help either. So when Zelina used the chair to hit Dom with it, Liv actually capitalized, hit the Oblivion, and got the win. It's been about a month and a half, I think, since Liv actually won the title for her to actually defend it just one time. So we'll see how long it takes for her to defend it a second time. So we're continuing the story of Dominic Mysterio not wanting anything to do with Liv Morgan and actually wanting to actively try to get the title off of Liv. However, it always backfires. He always ends up helping her, and she ends up loving him even more. So is he really trying to get the title off of her? Next up, we had a women's Money in the Bank triple threat qualifying match as Zoe Stark defeats Dakota Kai and Ivy Nile. And I'm just gonna say it now, this was the absolute wrong outcome in my opinion. Dakota Kai actually streams on Twitch pretty regularly, and during a stream that she literally had an emotional breakdown and was like upset that she hasn't been given an opportunity to actually grow and have a significant story go on. She's kind of been the mouthpiece for Damage Control as of late, but she's just another member in a stable that's really headed up by Io Sky. And honestly, I think this was the match to actually pull the trigger and give her an opportunity. Have her pick up the win in this triple threat match, have her go on to Money in the Bank, and have her show out. Hell, if they weren't going to have Dakota win, they could have easily had Ivy Nile win this match. With all these rumors of Chad Gable looking for a new family and trying to recruit the Creeds to his side to help protect him against the Wyatts and to have friends watch his back, it would really make a lot of sense to have Ivy Nile be a part of that stable as well, and to start her off with some momentum by having her win the Money in the Bank qualifier, go on to the Money in the Bank match, and really make her presence felt. But instead, we went with the least interesting option. We've seen WWE give Zoe Stark these opportunities like this multiple times, and she does great in these spots, don't get me wrong, but then it follows up with almost no story. There's almost no point to it besides Zoe Stark is a good wrestler, let's throw her in. And at this point in WWE, basically everyone's a good wrestler, so I don't understand why we couldn't have given Dakota Kai this shot, or even Ivy Nile. So good for Zoe for making this matchup. We'll see how it goes. She rounds out the Money in the Bank ladder match on the women's side of things, and it really does look like a great match on paper. I forgot to mention as well, at one point in this match, Kairi Sane interfered, or attempted to interfere to help Dakota Kai win, but then Alba Fire and Isla Dawn came out to even the odds. So it looks like we're going to set up a tag team match in the future between Damage Control and Fire and Dawn for the women's tag titles. At least they're trying with the scene. I appreciate that. Next up, we're continuing a little bit of this Rey and Dominic and Liv and Zelina story, this Judgment Day LWO feud, as Rey Mysterio defeats Dominic Mysterio. And once again, why couldn't they have given Dominic the win? It makes no sense to keep having this one-on-one match or even tandems like mixed tags and tag matches only for Dominic to lose to his dad every single time. At one point, Liv attempts to interfere in the match and Zelina actually stops it, and it actually costs Dom pretty greatly. Liv Morgan was standing on the apron holding onto the top rope trying to get Rey Mysterio's attention when Zelina grabs Liv Morgan and pulls her down off the apron, which then pulls the rope, and Dom, who's standing on the top turnbuckle, falls and lands right on his crotch. This sets Dominic up for the 619 and the splash for the victory. I get why they had Dominic lose here. It's to build the story of Liv is trying to help Judgment Day, but it's really hurting Dominic. Dom trying to get away, but he actually pulls her closer, and the question still remains, when will Dominic finally beat his deadbeat dad? I do have to say, though, the Boston crowd, at least in my section, had a pretty decent chant of deadbeat dad for Rey Mysterio. There was also a raise a deadbeat chant, too. There was also a lot of tension amongst the other members of Judgment Day as well, particularly Finn Balor and Damian Priest. Or actually, I should say the rest of the Judgment Day and Damian Priest. Early on in the broadcast, Damian Priest checked in with Dominic Mysterio and asked him if he called Rhea Ripley and checked in with her on things that have been going on. And Dominic said he did, except he didn't. Damian said, "I knew you didn't, because I just talked to her." Dom then says he's going to end it with Liv this week, which again, Damian says, you've said that every week, but you haven't yet, so when are you going to do it? So once again, Dom's looking very, very suspicious here. He's saying he wants to end it with Liv, but he doesn't. He says he's called Rhea to talk to her, but he hasn't talked to Rhea. We don't know the last time he's talked to Rhea. And once again, Damian Priest is the one to try and rein in the members of the Judgment Day. making him look like the bad guy in the eyes of the rest of the group. Damian Priest also caught Liv Morgan in the clubhouse with members of the Judgment Day during the show as well. And he ended up arguing a little bit with Finn Balor because Finn was kind of justifying, hey, she helped me and JD win the tag titles. She's been doing good stuff for us. But Damian Priest wants none of it. And Finn Balor actually tells Damian Priest, you've changed since you won the World Heavyweight title. Later on in the show, we cut to a promo in the ring with Seth Rollins, and he's actually interrupted by Finn Balor. And Finn actually comes out and says to the audience, to the crowd, to Seth Rollins, that everything's changing on Raw, including Damian Priest. Damian then comes out. It was a really tense moment. He got in Finn's face a bit. Seth Rollins capitalized on this dissension between Finn and Damian by hitting both guys with a super kick and then ended up hitting Finn with the stomp. But waiting behind him was Damian Priest with the South of Heaven chokeslam. Now, Damian wanted to take a second to really gloat about this, but he looked very conflicted. He did a couple of double takes and then turned around to check on Finn Balor, who had just gotten that stomp. And the segment ends with Finn and Damian walking to the back, with Damian helping Finn. So the tension is brewing within Judgment Day between Finn and Damian in particular, but also the rest of the group. However, Damian still has a love and connection to the rest of these members and wants the best for them. And with this stipulation that if Damian loses this coming Saturday, he's kicked out of Judgment Day, it's making me start to question it a little more. Is he going to walk out of Money in the Bank with the title? Is he going to face Gunther at SummerSlam? Or will something happen where either deliberately or not, Damian Priest loses and has to leave Judgment Day? Next up, we had a promo with Sami Zayn, the Intercontinental Champion, talking about his match against Braun Breaker this coming Saturday at Money in the Bank in Toronto. Braun Breaker then comes out to talk trash to Sami. It's actually a pretty solid promo. It paints this picture of Sami Zayn is a veteran in the ring. He's had a lot of experience. He knows what he's doing. Whereas Braun Breaker is young and green, and he makes a lot of rookie mistakes. And he made one actually in the segment as well. First, Braun goes to leave the ring, but he ends up jumping back and spearing Sami Zayn right in the center of the ring. He goes to leave the ring, but then he thinks he wants to do something even more so. So he tries to recreate the spot where he runs around the outside of the ring and catches Sami with a super spear, but instead Sami leapfrogs over him and gets the best of him in that exchange. And it showed exactly what Sami said. Braun Breaker's a rookie. He makes a lot of rookie mistakes to try and get a leg up over his opponent, and it ends up costing him in the end. But Sami Zayn is a veteran. He knows he's got great ring awareness and knows to leapfrog over Braun Breaker, sees him coming, and knows exactly what Braun's going to do. However, he actually didn't. Sami actually tries to set up Braun for the haluva kick after the spot, but Braun actually counters it right into a spear. So again, a really solid segment, really solid build for this Intercontinental title match. I'm really looking forward to it. I want Braun Breaker to win this title at the end of the day, but I don't think it's going to be his time this coming Saturday. I think Sami's going to pick up the win, especially after Braun held up the championship title. Last but not least, we had the main event. It was a men's Money in the Bank qualifier, a triple threat match as Drew McIntyre defeated Sheamus and Ilya Dragunov. And honestly, there's no major story bits to talk about with this match. This was just a really solid, hard-hitting triple threat match between three guys that really know how to lay it all out there in the ring. This match absolutely cooked. There was actually a really cool spot where Sheamus hit a brogue kick on Drew McIntyre, and he was waiting for Drew to get up to hit another one, but when Drew got up, he actually sprung out of it and hit a Claymore instead, getting the win by pinning Sheamus. After that, Drew talks some trash, said he's going to win the title, he's going to do it for CM Punk, and that's the show. He ends up taunting, raising his hand up, and actually kisses the bracelet that he stole from CM Punk. He took it out of his tights and wore it, actually, after the match as well. And that's that, y'all. That's Monday Night Raw this week. Let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. Really, really appreciate you watching through to the end of this video. If you like what you saw, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and that bell icon. Make sure you're notified whenever we here at Vacant Wrestling post another video. Also, make sure you go ahead and follow us on TikTok. We just got TikTok live access, and we're super excited to start doing some live streams in the coming weeks. We're going to do some live reaction streams, watching the TV shows Raw and SmackDown every week, maybe some NXT in there as well, maybe even some AEW or TNA, but definitely the premium live events as well. I think the first premium live event I think we're going to have live is SummerSlam, so we're really looking forward to that, and we hope to see you all there. Thanks so much again for watching, y'all, and we'll see y'all soon.